I am going to be going long on the show tonight. There is more than I can possibly tell you, even in the time that I'm going to take. Please hang in there with me all week long this week. Phil Beisel tonight. Everybody's coming tomorrow. I will try to get it out bits and pieces at a time. This is a very weird time. Tons of chaos, but I have tons of clarity. I really actually can see, I believe, where the future is going to take us, not only just with regard to Tesla, but also the economy, what's happening with Trump and Doge. I think I'm beginning to put it together, and you'll be amazed at how many really smart leadership type folks like Ray Dalio and others are on the same page. Not only the same page with me, the same page with Elon, the same page with Trump. It's going to be there's going to be some pain, and I'm going to talk about that later about the pain because that's part of the deal. But let's go ahead. Let's take a look. Let's start with my breaking exclusive news. One of my commenters sent me a note, and he said, Megapactory 3 will be built downriver from Pittsburg. Okay, now we know. Okay, maybe we don't. That's a rumor. Now, it was a single source, but things have picked up since then. So I've gotten lots and lots of commentary because I put it up on X, and lots of people have been responding back to it. And it makes tons of sense because, for the same reasons as Lathrop, it's easy transport by barge to the Great Lakes and then to wherever you want to go anywhere in the world. So I had Mr. K sent me this from Grok. He says, Grok sent, he created this from Grok. Elon Musk has expressed interest in expanding his business operations to Pennsylvania with a particular focus on Pittsburgh. During a Pittsburgh Steelers game in October, Musk had a phone conversation with Governor Josh Shapiro discussing the potential of locating factories in the area. This interest is sparked by Musk meeting with Thomas Tull, an investor involved in a significant manufacturing project in the region. Musk has praised Pittsburgh for its economic development efforts and its talent pool available from universities like Carnegie Mellon. Of course, Musk has said at a rally they'd be making investments in Pennsylvania. He went to school there, and one of his sons is headed there to go to school as well. Some point out that EOS, which we talked about last Wednesday with Jeff Lutz, that is in Turtle Creek, Pennsylvania. Of course, they make battery storage, and this could be an acquisition target. And then one of the commenters sent me a note, and I have no idea where he's getting his information. He says the new Tesla factory is going to be across the street from EOS in Turtle Creek, Pennsylvania. Okay, I don't know whether any of that's true, but that's what I've got so far, and we'll see what happens next. From Sawyer Merritt, he says Tesla now provides a discount of up to 10% on Tesla insurance for customers who frequently use FSD. So if you're using your FSD a lot, all of a sudden your insurance will go down. The more you drive with FSD engaged, the bigger the discount on your insurance premium. This new policy is currently only available in Arizona and Texas. It'll never be available in California, until we get rid of this governor that we've got now. So it says you can earn up to a 10% discount on coverage when you drive 50% or more of your miles with FSD enabled. All right, then we've got Travis Kalanick, founder of Uber, was on an all-in podcast today. He says it's interesting to hear him looking at the autonomous car business it's interesting to see him looking at the autonomous car business from his perspective, but he has very little curiosity beyond the Uber part of what he's doing. And that was kind of weird to me. He acknowledged that self-driving is happening and the Waymo experience is great. What he should have said is that the Waymo system has paved the way for all others. Consumers are becoming aware of the idea and already considering it to be safe. I'm realizing as I'm saying this that I already did this morning, so I'm going to pass the rest of that up. But that was a very interesting look this morning. If you want to hear more about that Waymo conversation with the founder of Waymo, go ahead and listen to this morning's show. Also, Tesla has cut lease prices on the Model 3 and Cybertruck. That was covered this morning as well. So sorry. This is Randy Kirk, goofing up a little bit, by the way. Edward S. joined Patreon. You could do the same. It's just a quick and easy step down below to join Patreon. Thank you, Edward S., for joining. All right, so Canada tariffs go into effect on Tuesday if they don't solve the fentanyl question between now and then. If Trump gets what he's asking for regarding the border, the whole thing goes away. Canada seems like they're trying at least somewhat to get it done, but in the meantime, throwing up all kinds of, counter tariffs, and then Trump is, countering the counter, and people are worried about whether they can get their Canadian Club bourbon and whether they get their what are they going to be able to drink, and also of course they don't want to lose out on Canadian syrup, but Vermont makes some great syrups. Anyway, I believe that overall this is going to be much ado about nothing when it's all done, but it is setting up what Trump wants to do in terms of a worldwide change in how things are done in trading all over the world, where the U.S. is on equal footing with these countries instead of being the mommy. Okay, and I think that we will see some positive activity there. Let's see. Oh, Elon says he's cautiously optimistic that he will reach the $4 billion a day reduction by this weekend. All right, now this is a repeat, and I'm just going to offer you the opportunity. If you don't want to hear this again, skip ahead. I think it's so important. I really felt I needed to say it again for those who didn't hear it this morning. I wrote all of this prior to watching the All In podcast, and that when I watched the All In podcast yesterday, which is very, very good, almost 2 hours, it ended up confirming almost everything that I was talking about. Then I listened to the David Freeberg Ray Dalio interview today, another hour and 10 minutes, and they confirmed exactly the kinds of things that I'm thinking. Like I said, it's going to take me a few days to really fully flesh out everything that I'm seeing. I believe that we're going to go through some pain. I believe the pain starts in March, and I believe the pain will last for about 6 months. Could be less, could be a little more, but it'll last about 6 months. And then lots of things are going to happen that are going to turn it around quickly. Not the least of them will be the Fed will lower interest rates, which will stimulate the economy, but the market, the bond market, will also lower interest rates, which is way more important than what the Fed does. And that is going to stimulate houses and cars and durables and things of that nature. That is what's going to get us out of the recession. But I do believe we will go into an actual recession over the next 30 to 60 days. We will start to see numbers that will tell us that we are in recession. That might cause the Fed to drop interest rates at the April meeting. I don't think they'll cut at the March meeting, but they might, or they'll cut at the April meeting, and that'll be good. But by then, the Treasury bills, those will be coming down. Those interest rates will be coming down because they will begin to believe what's happening with Doge. I took a poll, and you guys, at least the people that follow me on Doge, really, really are excited about all of this disruption, all of this chaos. They're not worried about it all. I think even if I put the question up and said, even if there's a short recession, that'd be okay, I think they would say yes. You see, the government cuts will reduce overall GDP. There's just no getting around that. If the tariff thing happens, it could cause temporary cuts in the overall GDP. If Elon gets his $4 billion a day, that is meaningful. It's going to be meaningful cuts to the amount of money that the government employees have to spend, to government contractors with their employees. They're going to be seeing cutbacks. They're going to have to cut back people. With fraud, the fraudsters are going to have less money to spend. I mean, there's a lot of fraudsters out there. There's a lot of government agencies that shouldn't be getting money at all. And those people are going to stop getting money, and they're not going to have it. So you're going to see it's going to be a decline in the overall economy because of it. The tariffs will increase some prices. There'll be some tariffs that actually go through. And that may not happen in this next 60 days. Because I don't think that the Mexico and Canada tariffs are going to stick right now. The China, maybe part of that'll stick, and maybe there'll be others in Europe. But those are going to cause minor increases in prices, not inflation, minor increases in prices. And it will, cause some impact on the economy. It also might result in tariffs for American exports. Not that we export that much. Most of which we export is services, not products. So depending on whether businesses see these tariffs are as short or long term, it might cause some people to start moving operations. I've been watching that my entire life as I watched companies go from Japan to Taiwan and South Korea, and then from there to China, and now from China into India, into Vietnam, into Cambodia, into the Philippines, into Mexico in particular. All right. So the income from the tariffs to the Treasury, that's not going to be high enough. It's not going to be nearly as much as people are projecting because in some cases, it'll just cut off the flow of goods. It won't really cause any significant amount coming into Treasury. However, as the Treasury doesn't need as many bonds because the deficit is not as high, then they won't have to go out and sell more bonds. They will be able to sell fewer, and that will cause the interest rates to come down. The lack of new immigration, yes, that's going to have an impact. So if you don't have more people coming in the country spending money when they get here, even if it's not a lot, it matters. So we'll likely see things like lower rents of rental units, lower cost of rents. That's likely to impact fairly soon. You're likely to see some lower spending of basic goods like, foods and drugstores. But overall, we've done this before. I can't tell you how many cycles I've been through with tons and tons of folks coming from Mexico because they know there's work and then going back because they know they're not. I've watched this with my own company. All right, number 4, while I would predict a recession starting in quarter 2 will be short, the economy will adjust. The outcome will be massively positive. That's the real story here. The real story is just like Reagan did it in the very beginning of his administration. The first 2 years, he was horribly unpopular. Volcker was horribly unpopular for raising the interest rates. It was a terrible time, and it was very hard for my business. There was no money at all. They stopped the money flow, and it was a rough period. And then all of a sudden, it was all roses and champagne. And for the next, really, except for that little tiny recession in Bush 2, Bush 1, it was go, go, go from 1984 until 1999, until 2000. Anyway, traders they're not going to be seeing the recession coming. They're all worried about this, tariff thing. And so you'll see this, the markets will be down tomorrow a couple of points, a couple of percent. We'll talk about that in a couple of seconds. But then they'll get back. It'll take a day or two and they'll drift back up again. But this is not the recessionary deal. They don't get that. They don't understand that. They haven't figured that out yet. I think they will. Okay. And then by the time they figure it out, the smart ones will even be able to recognize that the good times are 6 months from now. And so they'll start potentially buying into it. So we might have a really rough month or 6 weeks in the market, and then it's just going to go back and go even higher. I think it'll be up 15%. The S&P will be up 15% by the end of the year. Now, so that's kind of that thing. All right, then there's from That's 𝐒𝐦𝐚𝐲. He says, this is massive. Last year's federal agencies passed 3,236 new rules. New rules in 1 year. This is from Officer Lou. Acting FBI Director Driscoll has acknowledged in a leaked internal memo that a significant portion of the FBI was involved in investigating Trump and his supporters. We understand that this encompasses thousands of employees who took part in these investigations, including myself and Deputy Director 𝐒𝐦𝐚𝐲. Earlier today, and then the entire 7th floor was wiped out. It's gone. The 7th floor, that 7th floor of the FBI, that's the leadership. They're gone, along with, I forget, 100 others or whatever. And then, so then we go as to what's going on today. We have got, this week rather, starting on Monday, we've got the S&P final U.S. manufacturing PMI. So this is the purchasing managers. It was a little bit up, a little bit over 50% last time. They're not making a guess this time. I would love to see it up, but I think it'll be down. I think it'll be down, and I think it'll be going down. Construction spending last time was at flat. They're saying they think it'll be up slightly based on everything else we're seeing in housing and that area right now. It is likely to be up a little bit. ISM manufacturing, they're saying that the ISM manufacturing, they're making the bet on that, and they think it's going to be up substantially. So that'd be interesting to see. Then we've got auto sales, various auto sales coming out this week, except for, of course, Tesla, who only does it quarterly. Then on Tuesday, we have got job openings. That's the JOLTS report. Last month it was 8.1 million. They're thinking it'll be identical at 8.1 million. Factory orders coming in a little bit. So they have factory orders going lower, negative 0.7% is our guess. At the same time as they're saying manufacturing will be picking up. I don't know. I can't figure it out. Can you? I think manufacturing is flat. That's what I think. I don't think it's terribly up or down right now, but it might go down based on my recessionary expectation. ADP employment is on Wednesday. No guess on that one. But last month it was 122,000. They have no guess at all this time. U.S. trade deficit was 778.2 billion. They're thinking that goes up to 95 billion. That's one of the things that Trump wants to address. He wants to get the trade deficit more in line, less deficit, more equal. S&P final U.S. services PMI was 52.8. That's strong last month. No guess there. I'm guessing it'll continue to be strong at this point because then they give ISM services and they make a guess on that one. It was 54.1. They think that goes up to 54.4. By the way, lots of Fed speakers this week. I'm guessing some of these Fed speakers might talk about the tariffs. They might talk about the employment numbers that are coming out. They might be talking about expectations of whether the interest rates will be going up or down, but we'll see. Friday is the big day. That's initial jobless claims. Last month was 207. I'm sorry, Thursday. We're not to Friday yet. Normal Thursday. Last month we had extremely low, 207,000 initial jobless claims. They're thinking that bounces up a little, but not back to normal. Only 213,000 is their expectation. U.S. productivity last quarter was 2.2. This is the first reading in quarter four, and they're expecting it to be 1.5. I don't have a guess on that. I would love it to be more. I keep thinking all this AI is going to have an impact on productivity. Some more Fed speakers on Thursday. Then we get to Friday, and the U.S. employment report last month was 256,000. That they're thinking will drop all the way to 175. And my guess is we will see, yeah, you guessed it, probably see a revision downward in that 256. We'll see. Maybe not, but we'll see. Unemployment rate staying the same, they believe, at 4.1. Hourly wages staying the same at 0.3% compared to the previous month. Hourly wages year over year dropping, they think, from 3.9 to 3.7. The Fed would like that, see that a little bit down. Wholesale inventories then come out after that, and I don't care about those, as you know, but they think they'll be down a little bit in December after, during Christmas, of course, you start to see inventories dropping. Consumer sentiment, they're thinking goes up a little bit. Remember, consumer sentiment last time was surprisingly low. They're thinking it pops back up a little bit to 71.8. And then consumer credit comes out. Last time it was up 7.5 billion. This time they think it'll be up more, 16.4, but that still wouldn't be a very big increase. All right, what about earnings next week? We've got Palantir on Monday. We've got Alphabet and PayPal and Qualcomm on Tuesday. Then we got Ford and Disney on, oh my goodness. We've got a lot of stuff this week that is going to be impactful. Ford and Disney on Wednesday, then Amazon and Eli Lilly on Thursday. So while everything else is going on with the tariffs and with the Doge and the things that Doge is doing, we're going to be having all of this taking place at the same time. And meanwhile, I'm going to be trying a little bit of time all week to flesh out my expectations, what I've been just talking about here, because I think it's important. I don't know that there's going to be market timing issues involved because, quite frankly, I think Tesla weathers it fairly well. And we'll be taking a look right now to see how they're weathering the overnights because the rest of the market is, of course, taking a big hit. So let's go ahead and we'll start with the Tesla number. And what we will see is, if it would, come on, talk to me here. Sorry, I know dead air, not good for this kind of program. Here we go. Down 22. If I had, I should have predicted. I really should have. I was going to, because, well, okay, I'll tell you why, is because the NASDAQ is down 2.5. And so I figured Tesla would probably be down 5. That's the beta. So it is reacting exactly to the market. It is at 382. As you know, this is kind of a big deal stopping point, 380. It has rejected 380 like 3 times now. So it'll be interesting to see if it rejects 380 again. Again, I think by tomorrow we could see a lot of this go away, but maybe not. I'll have something very different probably to say tomorrow morning when we have more data. I sure wish I had guessed that. But of course, by 410, I was pretty darn close on Friday, don't you think? Okay, but maybe not tomorrow, maybe not on the first, because we didn't know we were going to have this tariff hit. All right, let's go ahead and look at those the bonds first. We'll go to the bonds as we always do. The treasury, here we go. We've got, oh, good. So here you go. So this is what I'm talking about. Treasury's down 5.2 basis points. All right, to $4.51.5. This is going to continue. It won't be in a straight line, but in general, it's going to be continuing to do this. My app is acting very weird. Okay, we have got the 2-year also down a little bit, 0.4. The 1 month is actually slightly up. So the shorts are continuing to be going the opposite of the 10-year. But good news in general there for the 10-year. Let's go ahead for the oil. It's been much higher than this. It has actually come down from where it was earlier. It's only up $1.25 now. Brent is only up 50 cents. So now they are back within that $3, in fact, less than $3 difference. So 73.78 for Texas Intermediate, 76.16 for Brent. So it's completely flipped on that part and still very low, even with the impact of the whole tariff story. By the way, the tariffs on oil coming out of Canada only 10%. I haven't heard whether distillates and oil products going back into Canada, if there's going to be a tariff on that or how that's going to work. Natural gas going up 9%, but it's only $3.32. As you know, it was way over $4 last week. Gold down to 70, but still sitting at 2,832, very close to all-time highs. Silver off a little bit, $32.21, down 0.17, and copper down also 1.44 at $4.21. We've got the dollar advancing because of the tariff threats, it says. We've got Bitcoin down 5,137. So Ray Dalio thinks that people will move away from Bitcoin in this kind of environment because the dollar will be stronger. So that's what he thinks. Now, I think as bonds come down, the dollar usually goes down. So then, okay. Anyway, we'll see. We'll see, because other countries have already lowered their interest rates. The U.S. would just be catching up. I don't know, but it's right now, Bitcoin down 5,143. That is 5%. We have got the Dow is at this point, the Dow futures down 552 or 1.22%, S&P down 101 or 1.68, and NASDAQ future down 2.21% or 477. And if we go back to Tesla one more time, no real change. We'll see in a second here when it comes back up again. It's actually improved already. It's only down 1960. That's quite a change, actually. It's already back to 385 from 382. So that's pretty significant. But we'll see. Overnight, it could be all over the place. We'll check it again, of course, in the morning, where you should definitely join me. You just don't want to miss a single show this week. I mean, it's going to be wild and crazy, but there's going to be a storyline that's going to come out of the entire show. Because as I bounce this stuff off of, now Larry's going to be on Tuesday instead of Monday. So it's going to be Nicholas tomorrow night. As I bounce this stuff off of Nicholas tomorrow night, and then I bounce it off of Larry on Tuesday, bounce it off of Jeff on Wednesday, you're going to start to see this narrative developing all through the week. And then I'll have Brian Wong on again on Wednesday, where he'll talk about the technical side and how he's seeing things. He's already sending me so many texts giving his analysis of what's been going on all weekend. I should probably have him on tomorrow, but we'll see. I might actually have him on early because that's how important I think it's going to be this week. We're setting up for what is going to be a massive, massive change in the U.S. economy, and it's a change that major folks like Jamie Dimon, like Ray Dalio, I mean, just go down the list, other people that are well thought of, well respected, the new Treasury Secretary, who is well respected, they are buying into the DOGE thing. They're buying into the tariff thing. They're buying into the idea we got to cut this economy. I mean, I'm not the economy. We got to cut this federal spending. Basically, you got to cut 1 trillion, which is Elon's new goal. And he says he made it this weekend. I'd like to see the details, but he says he's got $4 billion a day. And if he's done that, he says he's made his goal already. We got to see we got to see the details on that. But if it becomes believable, the truth. Okay, let me just back up one more time. I'm sorry. I know I said it. I know I said you think I'm done. And for those of you who waited all this time, here's my off the top of my head thinking. If the bond market believes Elon, we won't have a recession. Okay? If they believe that Elon's got the cuts, if they believe Treasury is going to follow through and won't be issuing as many bonds, if they believe that Trump is going to get his way with these tariffs to the extent that he wants to get, I mean, it's going to just make it better for America. If the bond market, if the treasuries begin to believe that, then they will reduce the interest rates now. And it doesn't have anything to do with the Treasury. Not the Treasury. It doesn't have anything to do with the Fed. The Fed can reduce them or not. It's what the bond market does that affects mortgages. It's what the bond market does that affects car prices, car interest rates, and durables interest rates, and business corporate bonds. And if we can get the corporate bonds and everything else, if we get 10-year down to 4.75 or 4.5, and that's what Ray Dalio was calling for today, a 100 basis point drop in the bond market. If we get that, the market's then we'll actually avoid a recession. It will actually the good times to start rolling, and we won't have to worry about my concerns over all the cuts, because the cuts will be balanced by the fact that those government employees and the government what do you want to call it, the contractors and such that are cutting back on their employees, those employees will have a place to go because industry will be ramping up. All the problem that we have with not enough construction people, well, maybe some of those government employees can go out there and learn how to wield a hammer and put up the drywall. All right. All right. Let's see. Phil Beisel will be here at 7:45. He's going to talk about, remember, he was at Apple for many years in executive positions, and then went over to Rivian. He has tremendous amount of insight, and we will be talking about FSD, and we will be talking about the whole thing with DeepSeek. We'll be talking about all kinds of those aspects. Fascinating stuff. So that'll be at 7:45. And then, of course, regular program tomorrow. Earlier today, I did a video, about the same stuff I just did now, because I repeated it on purpose. Not all of it, just the parts I thought you needed to hear again. Or for some of you who weren't listening this morning, you got it today. All right, that's all I got for you right now. As always, it has been great talking to you.